Ever felt like you're surrounded by actors? I have. And not the kind on a stage, but in real life. People wear masks every day, smiling when they want to scream, agreeing when they secretly resent, pretending to be something they're not. But here's the wild part. Once you train your mind to read between the lines, you'll start seeing through the act. It's like waking up in the middle of a play and realizing you're the only one who knows it's not real. I remember sitting in a boardroom once, everyone nodding, smiling, exchanging polite laughs. But I could feel it. Something was off. The words said one thing, but the body language whispered another. One man's foot tapped under the table. Another woman avoided eye contact. Long pauses, overly rehearsed responses. It was like watching a movie where everyone already knew the ending. Think of it like listening to a song out of tune. Most people focus on the lyrics, but once your ear is trained, you hear the flat notes, the rhythm breaks, the forced harmony. That's how people are. Most won't tell you the truth, but their body, their tone, their silence does. So here's my challenge to you. Start watching, not just listening. Observe, don't just absorb. The world is full of hidden truths, if you know where to look. Ready to uncover what they're really hiding? Drop a comment if you've ever seen behind the mask. Like this video if you've caught someone's real self in a quiet moment. Subscribe now and let's train your perception, because clarity is a superpower. Number 1, the Tell Me More technique. Let me introduce you to a technique so simple, it almost feels like a superpower. No cape, no theatrics. Just 3 words, yet it has the power to disarm defensiveness, build trust, and create a kind of connection that most people never experience in their day-to-day lives. The technique, tell me more. That's it, just 3 words. But when used with presence and intention, it can change everything. I stumbled upon this years ago, and not in some profound moment, but during a heated argument about, wait for it, pineapple on pizza. I was gearing up for battle, armed with every counterpoint, every witty comeback. But something in me paused. Instead of firing back, I just smiled and said, tell me more. What happened next caught me completely off guard. My friend who was ready to spar softened. His tone shifted. He began telling me about his childhood, about how Friday night pizza was a family ritual, about how his dad loved pineapple and how he secretly hated it because it reminded him of a time when things fell apart. Suddenly, we weren't talking about toppings anymore. We were talking about memories, emotion, loss. And all I did was ask, tell me more. Here's the secret. When people feel genuinely heard, they lower their guard. Their ego steps aside. The need to defend or perform disappears. What's left is something raw, something human. We live in a world full of noise. People talking over each other, arguing to be right. Interrupting not to understand, but to win. Stoic philosophy teaches us to remain still amid this chaos, to listen not just with our ears, but with our full attention. This technique embodies that teaching. Tell me more isn't a tactic to manipulate. It's a practice in empathy without attachment, one of Stoicism's most overlooked superpowers. You're not trying to steer the conversation. You're not hunting for a win. You're simply creating space. It works everywhere. In a business negotiation, where silence draws out true motives. In an argument with your partner, where understanding matters more than victory. Even with someone who seems shady or evasive, say those 3 words and you might be surprised how quickly they reveal what they were trying to hide. I once used this during a tense business deal. The other party was defensive, aggressive even. Instead of arguing, I calmly repeated, tell me more. Bit by bit, their posture softened. They began revealing not just what they wanted, but why. Turns out they were under pressure, trying to salvage a bigger deal, and they were desperate. That moment changed the entire negotiation. I didn't have to force anything. They laid their cards on the table. That's the beauty of this method. It's gentle, it's non-confrontational, but it gets to the truth faster than any debate ever could. The Stoics would have loved this. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. That humility, that open-mindedness is at the core of tell me more. It's about understanding before responding, listening before reacting. It also forces you to step outside your ego. You stop thinking about your clever reply, your next argument. You become fully present, and in doing so, you give someone the rarest gift in the world, your attention, and that's where transformation happens. So the next time you're tempted to interrupt, to correct, to argue, pause. Take a breath. Say, "Tell me more." You might uncover pain hiding beneath sarcasm. You might find a story behind anger. You might even discover a part of yourself you didn't know was still listening. Have you ever used this technique without realizing it? Or maybe someone did it to you and it changed how you felt? Drop a comment below and share your story. Let's make this a space for real connection. Like if you believe the world needs more listeners, share this with someone who talks too much. We all know one. And if you want more Stoic tools to help you understand others and yourself, hit that subscribe button. Because in a noisy world, quiet understanding is power. Number 2, watch how they treat people in a lesser position, the Stoic test of character. If you really want to know someone's true character, don't just watch how they treat you. Watch how they treat the people they believe are beneath them. This isn't just a social observation, it's a Stoic principle in action. Human behavior, when observed without illusions, reveals a brutal but honest truth. Some people are only kind when it benefits them, when the spotlight is on, when they stand to gain something. But drop the power dynamic, put them in front of someone who can't offer status, money, or opportunity, and their mask often slips. I learned this the hard way. I once worked with someone who, on the surface, seemed ideal, charming, intelligent, always respectful during meetings. The type of person everyone admired. Until one day we went to lunch. The moment we sat down, everything changed. They snapped at the waiter, barked orders, treated the server like they were invisible or unworthy. It wasn't a bad day, it was a reveal. This person wasn't nice. They were calculating. They performed kindness when it mattered, when people were watching. But the waiter, no threat, no status, no use. Stoicism teaches us not just to observe people, but to observe without illusion. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Meaning, if you witness cruelty, do not become cruel in return, but take note. Remember it. People show their real nature when there's nothing to gain and no consequence for their actions. If they're dismissive to a cashier, condescending to a cleaner, or indifferent to someone struggling, that's a red flag, a silent one, but one that speaks louder than any compliment or charm. I've come to rely on this as a personal litmus test in friendships, at work, even in dating. How someone treats the janitor, the bus driver, or the barista tells me more than a polished resume or a carefully curated persona ever could. And it goes deeper. The person who respects everyone, regardless of title or status, is often someone deeply secure within themselves. They don't need to elevate their worth by diminishing someone else's. Their humility isn't a tactic, it's their truth. But the person who mistreats others? They're often projecting insecurity. They step on others to lift themselves. They confuse arrogance with power. And that's not strength, it's weakness in disguise. Seneca once warned, the greatest obstacle to living is expectancy. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. What's in our control? Our choices, our values, how we treat others, especially when no one's watching. So the next time you meet someone new, don't just listen to what they say. Watch how they treat the ones who don't matter. Because the truth is, everyone matters. And if you find someone who shows respect to all, who treats the stranger with dignity, who doesn't shift based on rank or reward, that's someone worth keeping close. Have you ever witnessed this mask drop? Did someone's real character reveal itself when they thought no one was looking? Share your story in the comments. These moments teach us more than any lecture. Like this if you believe how we treat others is who we are. Subscribe for more Stoic insights on character, power, and clarity, because in a world full of masks, we learn to see through them. And remember, the Stoic doesn't envy charm, they observe integrity. Number 3, Their past is the key to their present. If you truly want to understand someone, not just on the surface, but at the level where their behaviors start to make sense, you have to look at their past. People often say, the past is behind us. But in reality, the past is never just behind us. It travels with us, shapes us, and speaks through us, even when we think we've left it behind. Every conversation, every reaction, every wall someone builds or bridge they burn, it all carries the fingerprints of what they've experienced. Their history is not just a backdrop, it's often the blueprint. I remember a friend who always seemed tightly wound, overly defensive, quick to anger, and slow to trust. At first, I assumed it was just part of their personality. Maybe they were just naturally anxious or irritable. But as I got to know them, a different story emerged. They had been betrayed deeply by those they once trusted. They had experienced real financial hardship. They grew up in an environment where love had to be earned through constant proving. Suddenly, their emotional armor made sense. Their harsh reactions weren't arbitrary. They were protective mechanisms shaped by pain. That's the thing about people. Their scars don't always show, but their behavior will always reveal them. A person who was neglected as a child may grow up desperate for attention. Someone burned in business might now distrust every new partner. And yes, someone who struggles with commitment might be carrying unresolved grief from a love that ended without closure. This isn't about making excuses. This is about seeing the why behind the what. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe people and events as they are, without immediate judgment. Marcus Aurelius urged us to dig within, to understand deeper causes. Epictetus reminded us that it's not events that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. When we understand that much of someone's present behavior is a reaction to their past, not just their current circumstances, we begin to see them more clearly. This plays out in relationships too. You may meet someone who seems perfect at first, until certain patterns emerge. Maybe they become possessive, distant, or afraid of vulnerability. It's easy to take it personally, but often those behaviors are not about you at all. They're echoes of wounds you didn't cause and can't always heal. Here's a hard truth. Most people are living in cycles. They repeat patterns formed by early experiences without even realizing it. That coworker constantly seeking validation? They may be replaying a childhood where nothing was ever good enough. That friend who keeps sabotaging every relationship? They might be reenacting a deep fear of abandonment. What looks like irrational behavior is often someone reenacting the same pain in different clothes. The danger of ignoring this is twofold. 1. We misjudge people. We call them toxic, broken, or confusing without understanding what built them. 2. We get entangled in their unresolved issues. Without insight, we absorb wounds that were never meant for us. But understanding someone's past doesn't mean accepting harmful behavior. It means recognizing where it comes from so you can set boundaries with wisdom, not resentment. There's power in helping people see their own cycles. When you gently reflect back what you notice without blame, you might give them the first real chance to break free. That's Stoicism in action. Self-awareness, growth, and clarity without drama. To truly see someone is to see their story, not just the chapter they're living now, but the pages that came before. So the next time you find yourself confused by someone's actions, don't just look at what they're doing. Ask, what shaped this response? Their past may not excuse it, but it will explain it. And from that place of understanding, you can protect your peace and practice empathy. Because the past isn't past. It's the lens through which the present is being lived. Number 4, sudden changes in tone. Signal, lies, or hesitation. One of the biggest giveaways that someone is lying or hiding something is a sudden shift in their tone of voice. Most people don't realize it, but our voices often betray what's going on beneath the surface. When someone speaks truthfully and confidently, their tone is steady, their pace natural, their words flowing with ease. But when there's discomfort, dishonesty, or hesitation, something changes. It's like their subconscious is waving a red flag, hoping someone will notice. I remember a coworker who was always smooth and charismatic. He knew how to charm a room and speak with authority. But during one meeting, when I casually brought up a looming project deadline, his usual upbeat tone dropped. He started hesitating. His voice slowed, and his words didn't land with the usual confidence. I knew instantly, something was off. Later it came out he hadn't done the work. That subtle vocal shift was the giveaway. Why does this happen? When people lie or feel uncertain, the mind and body fall out of sync. The brain might be trying to manage the deception, but the voice, an extension of the nervous system, can't always follow along. The result? Higher pitch, awkward pauses, forced enthusiasm, a crack in the vocal rhythm. Their words say one thing, but the delivery betrays the truth. Think back to the last time someone lied to you. Did their voice get quieter? Did they start talking faster? Did they suddenly sound too cheerful, like they were trying too hard to sound normal? Those shifts are often signs of deeper discomfort. This doesn't just apply to deception, it also reveals hesitation. I had a friend who was always enthusiastic about our plans until I'd suggest something she wasn't actually excited about. Suddenly her tone would flatten. Same words, different energy. That change, it was the truth she didn't want to speak aloud. These tonal shifts happen in relationships, negotiations, interviews, even everyday small talk. The Stoic lesson here is powerful. Don't just hear words, observe the delivery. Epictetus taught that we must attend to what is said and what is not said. Often what's not said is loudest in tone. But here's the deeper truth. People don't only lie to you, they lie to themselves. That's what Stoicism helps us recognize without judgment. When someone's voice falters, it might not be manipulation, it might be internal conflict. Their body reveals the discomfort they're trying to suppress. And often, they don't even know it's happening. It's not just about catching others, it's about knowing yourself too. How many times have you said something you didn't fully believe and felt your own voice crack or falter? Your tone is a mirror of your alignment. That's why the Stoics emphasize living in harmony. When your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, there's nothing to hide. And when they're not, it shows, whether you want it to or not. So the next time you're in a conversation and notice an unexpected shift in someone's voice, a change in pitch, an awkward pause, a sudden drop in energy, don't ignore it. Ask yourself, what are they holding back? What fear is hiding behind those words? It may not be a bold-faced lie, but it's probably not the full truth either. Their voice is their tell. And if you learn to listen closely, you'll hear what they're too afraid to say. Number 5, the most honest moments are when they think no one's watching. If you really want to know who someone is at their core, don't watch them when the spotlight is on. Watch them when they think no one's paying attention. That's when the masks fall off. That's when the truth steps forward. It's a controversial truth because most people like to believe that who they are in public is the same as who they are in private. But the reality? People often behave very differently when they believe there's no one around to judge, reward, or correct them. I once worked with a manager who, in front of the higher-ups, was the perfect professional. Calm, courteous, composed. But the moment the executives left the office, she became someone else entirely. Sharp-tongued, dismissive, condescending. The mask dropped, and what was revealed was not just poor leadership, but true character. You see, when people are in the spotlight, they're hyper-aware of how they're being perceived. They tailor their words, they polish their behavior, they perform. But when they think they're off stage, that's when the filters come off. That's when the soul speaks. You see it in subtle ways. How someone treats the janitor, whether they hold the door for a stranger, if they're kind to the waitress when the date's not going well, or how they act when they think they won't be held accountable. These aren't small moments, they're windows into who they truly are. This isn't just about work. It applies to relationships too. In the early stages, everyone's wearing their best mask. Charming, attentive, considerate. But if you want to know who someone really is, watch them when they're not trying to impress. What are they like when they're tired, stressed, bored, when you're not looking? True character is revealed in the shadows, not the spotlight. I had a colleague who was all encouragement in meetings. He'd cheer you on in front of others. But alone, he became cold, uninterested, and transactional. It wasn't just a bad day, it was a pattern. And that pattern told the truth. His public kindness was a performance, not a principle. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." For the Stoic, virtue isn't about applause. It's not about reputation. It's about integrity, doing the right thing because it's right, not because someone is watching. And that's the core of this lesson. If someone can only be kind, respectful, or moral when others are watching, it's not real virtue, it's strategy, it's performance. Stoicism challenges us to live in alignment with our values, whether the room is full or empty, whether you're praised or ignored, whether someone sees your good deed or not. That's where true power lies, in consistency, in character, in inner congruence. So the next time you're trying to understand someone, don't be swayed by the charm they display in public. Don't be fooled by their stage performance. Instead, observe how they act when the audience is gone. That's when the truth walks in. And let this be your mirror too. Ask yourself, who am I when no one's watching? Do I live by my values when the world isn't applauding? Because that's the real test. Number 6, emotional reactions reveal priorities. If you want to understand what truly matters to someone, don't just listen to their words. Watch their emotional reactions. Emotions are the unfiltered window into the soul. They reveal values, priorities, insecurities, and attachments, often more honestly than any carefully chosen sentence ever could. This idea can be uncomfortable. We like to think we're in control of our emotions, that we can hide what we care about. But the truth? When someone reacts strongly, whether with anger, excitement, or anxiety, it's a signal that something they value is being touched. Let me give you a personal example. I once worked with a colleague who was always composed, calm, unshaken, until one day in a routine meeting, someone casually suggested a minor change to one of his projects. That's when it happened. He blew up, raised his voice, got defensive. At first it seemed out of proportion, but I later realized it wasn't about the change. It was about what the project meant to him. He'd poured months into it. It was his pride, his legacy. That outburst revealed his priorities more clearly than any conversation ever had. People rarely announce what matters to them, but their emotions, they can't hide those. The boss who gets angry when you question his decisions isn't just guarding authority. His identity is tied to being seen as competent. The friend who gets defensive over small feedback, you've likely brushed against a deeper insecurity. The person who lights up when praised for their work, recognition is a core need for them, even if they never admit it. Strong emotional reactions, positive or negative, reveal what someone values most. Even joy is a clue. Watch someone talk about their side hustle, their creative project, or their favorite hobby. If their voice picks up, their eyes brighten, and their body leans in, that tells you more than a list of interests ever could. This principle is especially useful in relationships. If your partner gets unusually upset when plans fall through, it may not be about the inconvenience. It's about what time together means to them. If they light up when you bring up a shared future, it's a sign that shared experiences and long-term connection matter deeply. Emotions are always tied to values. You don't need a confession to know someone's priorities. You just need to observe. Pay attention to what makes them come alive or what makes them defensive. The person who suddenly reacts to a small critique about being late, it's probably because they value being seen as dependable. Their reaction is a protective response to a perceived threat to that identity. Here's where Stoicism offers a deeper insight. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe human behavior, not to judge it, but to understand it. When someone's emotions spike, it means something they value is at stake. That's where their truth lives. Their outburst or enthusiasm is not the noise, it's the signal. And this isn't just about others. Your emotions reveal your priorities too. When you feel yourself reacting strongly, pause. Ask yourself, why does this matter so much to me? Is it because your core value is being challenged? Or is it your ego? Are you angry because your integrity was questioned? Or because your image was bruised? Self-awareness begins with emotional honesty. And Stoicism teaches us that If we can trace our reactions back to their root, we can gain mastery over them. We stop being ruled by the moment and start responding from clarity. We learn to tell the difference between what matters and what's just a bruised pride. Reading people isn't magic. It's observation. Their tone, their posture, their energy when something is mentioned. All of it is data. And the better you get at reading others without judgment, the more you begin to read yourself. You understand what triggers you, what excites you, what you defend, and why. And you start to align your life with those values consciously instead of reacting unconsciously. That's the real power. Not manipulation, but wisdom. Not control over others, but clarity within yourself. So next time someone has a strong reaction, don't just focus on the surface. Look deeper. Their emotions are pointing you to their priorities. And when you feel yourself react, do the same. Follow the thread, learn the truth, and live by it. That's Stoic mastery, not coldness, but clarity.